Hello everyone, Constitutionalist Libertarian here, and today we're going to be taking a look at an article from Principia Scientific International. It was published on July 6th and is written by Julie Kelly. Now this is the second article I'm doing from this particular site. I've already done this once this week with Vice. I don't normally do this, but when you see a couple articles from a source that you feel need to get attention, and have awareness brought to them, you might do that, or I might do that, because this is not something that I'm planning on doing normally, because it's kind of lazy. But when you see something like this, it's pure gold and needs attention. Leading climate scientist says debating scientific theories would be un-American. I mean, come on now. How is fucking debate, one of the things that's at the heart of the democratic process, un-American? I mean, I understand we're a constitutional republic, okay? But in a constitutional republic, there is a democratic process going on here to an extent. I mean, you look at local, state, and even to an extent with federal. There is a democratic process, and with that, there, you know, regardless of the type of democratic process or the type of democracy, debate is a fucking key factor to it. This guy or woman, the leading climate scientist, is a fucking moron. Way back in April 2017, scientists around the world participated in the March for Science as a show of force and unity against an allegedly anti-science Trump administration. Their motto was, "Science, not silence." Many wrote that mantra on pieces of duct tape and stuck it across their mouths. Oh, God. Why can't the majority of the left do that? Hell, I'll buy the duct tape. Well, that could get expensive. Hell, I'll find you the cheap duct. I'll find you duct tape cheap. March for Science organizers claimed that the best way to ensure science will influence policy is to encourage people to appreciate and engage with science. They actually used to do that in school. You would learn the scientific method, and then you would run experiments, and you would use the scientific method while you were, and you would then write reports on it. At least when I was in school, that's how things worked. That can only happen through education, communication, and ties of mutual respect between scientists and their communities. The paths of communication must go both ways. Okay. Yeah, well, they do kind of need to go both ways for communication, but there's one thing: science is science. There's no communication about it. Science is binary. It either is or it isn't. That's how scientific method works. It's based off a Socratic method. You know, that thing that you critical theory shitbricks have tossed aside because it doesn't allow you to actually have something that you believe be true? But that was so 3 months ago. Many scientists are now rejecting an open debate on anthropogenic global warming. EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt appears ready to move forward with a red team, blue team exercise where two groups of scientists publicly challenge each other's evidence on man-made climate change, which is how science works. You present your data, your evidence, and you compare them. And you use that with the scientific method to come to a factual conclusion. Not one that's based on feels, like critical theory shit is always based on. The idea was floated during a congressional hearing last spring and outlined in a Wall Street Journal op-ed by Steve Koonin, former Undersecretary of Energy in the Obama administration. Koonin said the public is unaware of the intense debate in climate science and how consensus statements necessarily conceal judgment calls and debates and so feed the settled, hoaxed, and don't know memes that plague the political dialogue around climate change. So what this fucking idiot pushing for is, oh yeah, we'll have this so that we can shut those fuckers up. And I don't believe for a second that unless he's a moron. I don't believe for a second that he honestly believed that the pro-man-made climate change crowd was going to win that. I think it was just all lip service. Just too good to be true type thing. It doesn't pass the sniff test. I can smell the stink. I can smell the stench. It would work this way. A red team of scientists critiques a key climate assessment. The blue team responds. The back and forth continues until all the evidence is aired and refuted, followed by public hearings and an action plan based on the findings. It happens entirely out in the open. Kuhn said this approach is used in high-consequence situations and very different and more rigorous than traditional peer review, which is usually confidential and always adjudicated, rather than public and moderated. Climate scientist Judith Curry has a good primer on the concept. Now, the thing is, he might actually, reading that now, he might actually be more of a skeptic. It's hard to tell. I'm thinking now, yeah, he could possibly, he could go either way. Time will only tell if this happens. Time will only tell on which side he's on, because if something like this happens, he might feel more comfortable to publicly come out if he's a skeptic and say, "Yep, see, I knew it," or whatever. Pruitt is prepared to pull the trigger on this idea, according to an article in E&E News last week. In an interview with Breitbart News on June 5th, Pruitt touted the Red Team, Blue Team initiative, saying that the American people need to have that type of honest, open discussion, and it's something we hope to provide as part of our leadership. This is why the left hates President Trump and his administration so much. Why they hate his members of his cabinet. Because when you have someone that is going to say, look, we need to have this out in the open. This all needs to be aired out. We need this discussed. And someone's going, no discussion, it's settled. Like Obama did. The same man who was the attorney of record that set up the Chicago Climate Exchange, and in return, as part of his payment, has a stake in the CCX. That right there should be a big fucking red flag. When you got a guy who set up the carbon exchange, has a stake in said carbon exchange, going, oh yeah, we need carbon taxes, we need carbon offsets, we need all this shit. That should make you go, wait one fucking minute. Pruitt seems like a pretty intelligent guy. When you want to have a situation where, oh, well, we need debate, we need to discuss this, we need to have this out in the open, as opposed to, it's settled, we say it's this, we're not going to show you the data behind it, we're not going to show you any of the information we have that backs our shit, but you just got to take it what we say at face value. You got to take what we say at face value, and it's this, so fucking deal. That should be another big red flag. This guy, they're trying to say he's anti this, he's anti-environment, he's anti... Why? Because he wants to have debate and discussion? Instead of dialogue, climate scientists preach. Exactly. Now you would think the scientific establishment would embrace an opportunity to present their case to a wary, if disinterested public. Yeah, you would. You would think they would jump at the fucking chance to go, look, this is why we're saying that climate change is the world's worst thing. Man-made climate change, I should say. Here, this is the proof. This is why we need to cut back on carbon output with CO2 and things like that. Okay, yeah. show us the proof. Let us go from there. You would think the 97% of scientists who supposedly all agree human activity is causing climate change would eagerly line up to vanquish climate deniers, especially those in the Trump administration. Exactly. That supposed 97%, that's a subset of a subset of a subset of a subset, maybe even another subset of a subset. But it worked out to be 72 fucking people were used. Or 78, but it was in the 70s. I believe it was 72. 72 people were used for that. You don't even have 100 fucking people. And you get 97 fucking percent? That's not even 97. That should fucking make people go, huh, okay. But no, you bring that up and they go, oh, that's complete bullshit. It's not. No, it isn't. And you try to get them to look it up and they don't, because this shit's been indoctrinated into people's minds. So you tell them to go look it up and they're like, nope, I know it's true. You would think the same folks who fear a science-adverse President Trump would be relieved his administration is encouraging a rigorous forensic inquiry into the most consequential scientific issue of our time that has a wide-ranging economic, social, and political ramifications around the world. Exactly. When you're talking about something that's going to lead to an increased deindustrialization of the Western world and the suffering of the people in that part of the world. I mean, the developed world. We'll say what it is, the developed world. When you're asking the developed world to go backwards, there better be damn good proof and a damn good reason, but you don't need it in your minds. But you want to ship shit over to the developing world while we become deindustrialized, de-develop, and they're developing to save the world when they're not going to have the regulations and anything else to stop the output of CO2. CO2 will increase dramatically. If it's supposedly so fucking toxic and detrimental to the environment as you claim. The same shit that plants use to, like, make food and other, like, compounds that have medicinal properties, shit like that. You would think, but instead, many scientists and activists are expressing outrage at this logical suggestion, even advising colleagues not to participate. And this is where it gets interesting. The Washington Shitpost is calling for this. Situation, I'm sure. To be silenced. Because that's what they do. So in a June 21st Washington Post op-ed, 3 top climate scientists repudiated the red team concept, offended by the slightest suggestion that climate science needs fixing. So, using the Socratic Method, the Socratic and scientific method, which the scientific method is built off of the Socratic Method, and discussing climate science, and whether or not it needs fixing offends them? Holy fucking shit. We are talking about some definite leftist SJW fucking virtue signaling motherfuckers here. Even if they're not the leftist SJW per se. They've got that shit going on. I'm a victim. You're offending me. Naomi Oreskes, or however you say her name, Benjamin Salter, and Kerry Emanuel wrote that... oh my god. Emanuel wrote that calls for special teams of investigators are not about honest scientific debate. How is that not about honest scientific debate? You put a bunch of scientists in a fucking room. Okay, actual experts on a particular subject. And you have them discuss the facts. Because we're not even really talking about debate here. It's about... Because in the truest sense, it's not a debate. Okay? Because a true debate, you're promoting ideas. In this case, you're promoting facts. You're trying to weed the facts out from all the shit. So, if you have an honest discussion looking at the data and you say, well, this is this, and they go, okay, but the hockey graph guy, man, just got fucked in court, and it counters your shit. You know, I mean, because, like, if they present Dr. Ball's data, okay, on the note of recording climate, and you fucks on the pro-climate change use man's hockey graph, which has now been discredited. You don't want to have a debate. You don't want to have facts or data, or however you want to look at it, be presented to counter your idea. That's what it comes down to. They are dangerous attempts to elevate the status of minority opinions and undercut the legitimacy, objectivity, and transparency of existing climate science. Oh, God. That's fucking priceless. Okay, so minority opinions. Doesn't matter if they're right or wrong. Well, we can't have minority opinions being elevated. Why? Could the minority opinions be, based in fact? And that's why you don't want them elevated? I think so. What legitimacy? Man just got caught, alright, that he proved himself a fucking liar because he didn't want to hand over the evidence, his own data, as the evidence he needed to prove a libel suit. Then you have, ClimateGate version 1 and version 2, ClimateGate and ClimateGate 2.0. A lot of other things like, the whistleblowers with NASA and NOAA coming out and saying how they've been cooking the books when it comes to the temp data and showing actual evidence of that. I don't see legitimacy or objectivity there. And transparency? There is none. Again, I refer you to man. Because hockey stick man, that's got a fucked up ring without his first name, but it sounds good. So hockey stick man, that's like mattress girl. He's the fucking mattress girl of fucking climate science. He walks around with a fucking hockey stick strapped to his back. Oh, God. Well, anyways, fucking hockey stick on his back, man. He's been fucking going around looking, oh, yeah, look at this, And now he's been proven a fucking liar. He won't show his data. That's not transparency. Get man to show his data, and then I'll believe you on there being transparency, you three moronic fucks. In a July 1st post full of irony, leading climate scientist Ken Caldeira blasts the climate contest. We don't want red-blue teams because science doesn't line up monolithically for or against scientific positions. Yes, it does. That's the actual fucking definition of the science. Well, not the definition, but that's the whole fucking basis of the scientific fucking method, you stupid fuck. You're a scientist. You had to learn the scientific method, I would hope. Okay? It's either is or it isn't. If it is, you're done. If you repeat your experiment and it constantly is, it's black or white. If you repeat your experiment and it isn't consistently yes or it's never yes, that's not that it's not fucking scientifically correct. It's not fact. It's not scientific fact. I mean, look at what? Never mind the 97% consensus claim that just been shoved down our throats for the past decade. Caldera also wrote just a few months ago that the evidence for human-induced global warming is now so strong that no sensible person can deny a human role in these temperature increases. We could argue about what we should or should not do, but the argument is over. Right, the argument is over. And I cannot deny there's a human role in these temperature increases. It's called you stupid fucks cooking the books. You're not lying. You're fucking right. Which is, I think, why you worded it that way. Because you know you're cooking the fucking data. Okay? You are cooking the books so bad that if you were a mob accountant, they would know that you're skimming even more than what you should be skimming, and they'd probably kill you for it, where it's their money. Dude. You basically, in a roundabout way, if we take what you're saying, you could be admitting that, yes, humans are fucking with the actual data. And you seem like a smug son of a bitch, so I wouldn't put it past you. Caldera then smugly questioned, oh, when you do this, yeah, I could see why you possibly going, yeah, meaning it one way when it's coming, you intend it to be another. So he says he smugly questions why politicians who have never engaged in any scientific inquiry in their lives believe themselves to be experts who should tell scientists how to conduct their business. Well, asshole. As someone who studied history, you dumb fuck, what happened to the medieval warm period? What happened to that on man's hockey stick graph? What happened to the recorded climate during the time of the English witch trials? What happened to the data that went from, being what it was at recording and what it was being used as, like in the difference and discrepancy? Where is that coming from, like with NASA and NOAA? Because the argument isn't over. I mean, when I'm bringing up facts like that, that means you need to respond. You just don't want to respond because you have no response because you know you're full of fucking shit. And why should they ask scientists? Because stupid fucks like you could be talking out your ass, just looking to fucking score a payday or job security or God only knows what. You should be held accountable, motherfucker. You're not above fucking reproach. You're not infallible. Fuck you. Shall we then ask why scientists who have never engaged in any legislative or political endeavor in their lives believe themselves to be the experts who should tell lawmakers how to conduct their business? Well said. Very well said. Climate scientists fear losing power, nothing else. Then there is the interminably petulant and prosaic Michael Mann, who routinely dishes out the denier name to anyone who crosses him and recently compared himself to a Holocaust survivor. I forgot about that. This stupid fuck puts out fake fucking science that he won't give in a court case as evidence that he needs to prove liable because it's fucking fake bullshit. And he wants to call himself a Holocaust survivor? Talk about virtue fucking signaling. Man told Think Progress that the red team concept is un-American. Oh, why doesn't it surprise me that, and I love Dr. Ball for saying this, that the man who should be in the state pen, not Penn State, is going to say that debate, part of the democratic process, a process that's part of a constitutional republic like ours, is un-American. and a ruse to run a pro-fossil fuel industry disinformation campaign aimed at confusing the public and policymakers over what is potentially the greatest threat we face as a civilization. Oh, really, man? Well, I got a deal for you. If you figure out who I am, prove that I'm pushing some pro-fossil fuel industry disinformation campaign, I'd love for you to prove it. Because if I was, motherfucker, I'd be driving a hell of a lot better car than I do. I'd be living in a better fucking place than I do. So, pull your head out of your ass, you stupid fuck. Aha, right. There is the key objection to the entire exercise, the risk of their political power. I mean, just because look at this. Look at the threat he's making here to scare people. Okay, aimed at confusing the public and policymakers over what is potentially the greatest threat we face as a civilization. I mean, you're trying to scare the shit out of people. You're fear-mongering. When you do that, you're trying to hold on to power. That's what baby fucking Bush did September 11th. He fear-mongered, which got him 8 years, and the fucking civilian, private / military spy complex that we have in this country. I mean, they know it's a risk. These activists know that climate change long ago stopped being about science. It is a liberal, big government agenda wrapped up in a green cloak of superiority and virtue. It is. It's a liberal, big government agenda wrapped up in a green cloak of superiority and virtue. But it's more like a it's like one of those, like, raincoat type of cloaks, like the green ones, basically like the type of, a serial killer would wear and come out from the shadows and slice your throat or some shit with. So, here we go. I mean, for the past decade, the pro-climate crusaders have ruled policymaking, which is true. It's very true. From international organizations to federal agencies down to your local park district. Damn straight. The Trump administration poses the first threat to their dominance, and they don't like it. And instead of being up to the task of defending it in public with evidence and not platitudes, facing scientists they have smeared for not being part of the consensus, they want to walk away. Exactly. Well, there's no need for discussion, so I'm not going to talk about it. Fuck you. You've never talked about it. You've just said, this is how it is. If you don't like it, fuck off. Because this is what I'm an expert, and I say it's this way, and you provide no evidence. Like, man who sues a fucking guy and then won't provide the evidence necessary to, or evidence, the supposed evidence that would back his case, which is his actual data and his computer code, everything, for his hockey stick graph bullshit. He won't turn it over and is in contempt of court in Canada right now. These are the people that are saying that there's no consensus, that there's no debate because there's consensus. These are the people that are using critical theory and want to ignore the scientific method. These are the people that are a threat, not climate, man-made climate change. Once we start having the light of day being exposed onto the crap that they're pushing, with this man-made climate change being as bad as it is, if it is a thing at all, really, or I should say, if it is a threat at all. Because man does have some limited effect on climate. But if it's out in the open and they show, without a doubt, yeah, this is what's what, then there's no debate at that point. There's consensus because all the facts are out there. What are you afraid of, guys? Oh, that's right, being discredited. Losing those freaking grants that basically keep you employed. Because you know that you guys couldn't cut it in the real fucking world. You could not go into corporate America and use your knowledge and experience and actually survive. Even if it was a job perfectly suited for what you do. Because you people can't handle anything outside academia. You really can't. Now you see the walls coming tumbling down, and you know, on the note of your job security and your power and everything. And I'm laughing. And I can't wait to see you all get fucked. When all this shit blows up in your face, I really can't. Anyways, this is the Constitutionalist Libertarian. If you liked the video, definitely hit the thumbs up. If you want to see more content on a regular basis from me, hit the subscribe button and don't forget to ring the bell. Thank you all. Have a good one.